It is extremely happy occasion for us to have very distinguished diplomat and scholars from, I can say, the American Embassy. Uh, on behalf of all the students and the staff of Mass Communication Department, I would extend you a very warm welcome. In fact, as part of practice, our students they are managing this program. Uh, Zahra and
Shehzad.
Shehzad, these two young students of mass communication final year course, they would like to just conduct an interview with you, and hope this will also be as pleasant a program as we had just uh, a few
Watched.
minutes earlier.
Yes.
Okay, Zara, please start.
Right. Welcome to the Department of Mass Communication, sir.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you
It's a
very
pleasure
much.
to have you here. We just had a wonderful program and you gave a great enlightening talk on Mr. Barack Obama.
Thank you.
So there's been as much jubilation in India as there has been in the United States about
I
his
don't know
becoming a
if
president.
maybe not quite as much.
But believe me, sir, there's been a lot. We feel as if it's something happening in our own country. But since then, there have been a lot of issues, I must say, that we've been concerned about. Particularly this kind of apprehension among the Indians that there's going to be a lot of American interference in the Kashmir issue. So what do you have to say about that?
Well, I wouldn't be so worried about that. The approach that's been taken by the new president is essentially that there are regional problems that have to be dealt with
Right.
in a regional context. It's possible he'll decide to appoint a special envoy for Afghanistan and Pakistan. And if I were he, I would urge that envoy to consult with India. Because if you're going to try to resolve problems in this region, India is the big power in this region. So
Obviously.
India must be consulted. But when you look at what happened just before the inauguration, there was a visit by Vice President-elect Biden to the region. He visited the troubled countries in the region, Afghanistan and Pakistan. He didn't visit India this time. He's visited India many times before. But there's a separation between the powerful global relationship we have with India and the regional relationships we have in the region that are with countries that are in some stress,
Right.
some difficulty.
Right. So America will not be interfering in the Kashmir issue between India and Pakistan as a third party?
What we found is that the more progress is made in Kashmir when it's dealt with by the people of India and the people of
That's
Pakistan
correct.
and the people of Kashmir, most importantly.
Right.
And in this election that was just held in Kashmir, 62% of Kashmiris showed up to vote. They voted for good governance, for electricity, for roads, for management of their problems, and they also were taking matters into their own hands.
Right.
So I don't think outside intervention would necessarily be helpful.
That's absolutely correct. So I agree with you. Shahzad.
Sir, after the Bombay attack, terrorist attack, sir,
Yes.
which kind of the policy America is going to make about the Pakistan?
Well, one of the things that's happened since the Mumbai attacks is that the United States and India have cooperated very intensively on law enforcement. The FBI worked side by side with Indian law enforcement agencies on finding out what happened in the Mumbai attacks. And we've been working with your new Home Minister, Minister Chidambaram, on what lessons can be learned from our experiences post 9/11 that might be helpful to India. So I think first you'll see a lot of cooperation between India and the United States on counterterrorism. When it comes to Pakistan, we've made our position very, very clear. We believe that Pakistan must eradicate the terrorist infrastructure in Pakistan. It has affected the terrorists who came from Pakistan have killed not only Indians but people from many other countries, from the United States, UK, Holland, Singapore, Israel, many other countries. This is an international problem, and it must be addressed.
So when we're talking about terror, there's been a lot of atrocities being committed by Israel in the recent days. But the international community has been sort of a mute spectator to all these things. What do you think? Should America now play a different role in solving the Israel-Palestine conflict? Because that is also a lot of violence going on over there.
Well, in the past, when America stood on the sidelines, things tended to get worse. So what I would expect, what I would anticipate, is greater American engagement under the new administration. There's been no formal announcement, but in the press there's been a lot of talk that George Mitchell will be the president's special envoy to the Middle East. And I hope that's true, because he was extremely successful in dealing with the conflict in North Ireland. He's a brilliant diplomat. He has a long political background. He was a majority leader in the Senate. He has the trust of people on both Republicans and Democrats, and I think he'd be very, very effective in working with people on both sides of the Middle East conflict.
But since Israel is an American ally, so do you think there'll be some kind of pressure from the American side on Israel to stop
These kind of
bombings
things
and things going on in Gaza especially?
Well, what happened in Gaza is before the inauguration of the new president, there was a ceasefire declared, and the Israelis withdrew their forces from Gaza. I think that was a sign that they understood it wasn't a good position to be in when a new American president is ushered in. We have a strong alliance with Israel. Israel's a democracy. America will never be apologetic for its strong friendship with Israel. We also believe that we can play a helpful role in bringing about peace to the Middle East, and I expect the new administration will work very hard to help bring about peace.
Sir, after having the war with Afghanistan, the people are expecting that the next target of the America will be the Iran. So what do you think, which kind of policy America is going to make towards the Iran?
Right.
Well, when he was running for president, Mr. Obama talked about the importance of engaging directly with countries like Iran. So the administration is 2 days old, so we can't say exactly what its policies will be, but it does seem clear that there's an openness to more direct engagement with Iran. I as a diplomat, I believe in engagement, and so personally, I think that's a very good thing to be able to engage directly. The other thing is we can learn a lot from countries like India that have long-standing ties to Iran. The civilizational ties between India and Iran go back thousands of years. Experts in your government, whom I've talked with at great length, are very knowledgeable about the inner workings of Iran. And we've been able to consult with many Indian diplomats and Indian leaders about how best to handle the situation with Iran. And we share a lot of goals with India, because India doesn't want to see another nuclear-armed state in the region. India would like that things with Iran remain peaceful, and India has direct ties to the regime that the United States doesn't have. So I hope that as we work on the Iran situation, we'll do it in tight partnership with India.
Right, but since U.S. intelligence has already revealed that there is no such thing going on in Iran, there's no actual proof of nuclear armaments being built up. So can we expect less of sanctions and such drastic measures and more of peace talks?
Well, what U.S. intelligence has revealed and what has been widely reported in the press is that there was a program that was underway, a very serious program, that ended at a certain point.
Okay.
Now, why did it end? There are many who speculate it ended because there was international pressure on Iran to end that program. There are others, including some in India, who argue that in a time of high oil prices, that sanctions aren't going to work. Well, oil prices go up and down. Actually, pressure by the international community can often be very effective. And it's the position of Iran is going to be affected by how parties in the region, by how the major nations in the world, members of the Security Council, big countries like India, react to developments within Iran. My hope and my belief is that we will work together and accomplish much more in accomplish much more in persuading the Iranians to head away from a destructive path and towards a more constructive path with the outside world.
All right, that's fine, sir.
So what would you like to say about the immigration policy of America?
It's a good question. At a time of economic stress, there's always a tendency to kind of hunker down and protect our own, close the borders. But the new president has made clear, and the new labor secretary designate have made clear that it's important to expand the H-1B program, that to attract, you want to have a good, strong program that can attract talent. That's how you keep your economy dynamic. So what I would predict is that there will be a balance struck between the fears that people have of losing employment to people from overseas and the importance that we've always had, that we've always placed in America on keeping our country and our economy open to the rest of the world. You know, everybody who came to America, or most everybody, except for the very original settlers, came to America from someplace else.
That's right.
And it's people who are dynamic and energetic and smart who came to America from someplace else. And I think it's the great strength of our country and of our economy is that there are all these dynamic entrepreneurs who came from someplace else, whether they're Christian or Muslim or Jewish or Hindu or non-believers, as the new president said. They brought with them energy and ideas and dynamism, and that's what makes America a great country. And I would say the same about India. Your openness, your ability to incorporate people from different cultures and different backgrounds is the great strength, and it's something that America admires very much about India.
Right. What about business outsourcing? That's been a great issue of concern for both Indians and Americans. So what
Yes.
steps is the new administration going to take to, solve it for both, which is, in a way, this is good for both of the countries?
Well, when you're in economic dire straits, then companies have a great impetus to cut costs.
Right.
And one of the ways that companies cut costs is via outsourcing. So to stay competitive, even American companies very often need to outsource. India is a good place for that to occur because you have a highly educated population, a lot of people who speak English, and you're in a different time zone. There are a lot of natural advantages that India has in the outsourcing business. What I would hope is that the Congress and other countries around the world will also resist the temptations to become protectionist and to close their borders. When the G20 got together in, I think it was November, to talk with the previous president about measures that could be taken collectively to address the economic crisis, they said, let's keep away from protectionist tendencies, let's keep our borders open. Now then, they turned around and some people took contrary actions. India itself raised tariffs right after promising to keep away from protectionist measures. Well, there are always political pressures on countries to take protectionist steps, and I would urge India to resist those kinds of pressures, and I also hope that our country resists those kinds of pressures because we're gonna get through this economic crisis together.
Right.
We're not gonna get through it if we take measures that close down trade and cut off trade. That's the solution is staying open.
Right, sir. Well, still on Indian and American.
Last question.
Okay, sir. So I just wanted to know about nuclear cooperation between India and America.
Yes.
How is it? Which direction is it going to go in now after the change of regime?
Well, the president, when he was a senator, voted in favor of the legislation that implemented the 123 agreement that brought about an end to India's nuclear isolation and a beginning to civil nuclear cooperation with the entire world. This was not a U.S. only deal. This was something that allows India has world-class scientists, and this agreement allowed India scientists to work with anybody in the world, and India to diversify its energy sources by working with any country, whoever wants to work with India to develop its civil nuclear sector. I hope that the U.S. will be part of that activity. The new administration supports cooperation of all kinds with India, including civil nuclear cooperation. And I hope that in implementing the agreement that U.S. businesses will be part of the mix and that we'll move quickly. There will be a quick movement to finish the remaining steps. There are just a few steps that still have to be taken so that full civil nuclear cooperation can be entered into. But I don't think they're very significant. I think they'll be dealt with dispatch, and India will move ahead and diversify its energy mix by adding civil nuclear to that mix.
Right, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ted. I think your responses were very precise, and I hope that the intricacies and the undercurrents involved in global politics and foreign relationship between India and Pakistan, they were being well explained. I hope that your visit will definitely strengthen better relationship with Aligarh Muslim University and Department of Journalism in particular. In fact, there is a belief that wherever American goes, that disaster follows. I am fully confident that now this visit will be very productive, and we are going to have lasting mutually beneficial relationship. And we can also think of exchange of scholars and students. You have seen our young students. So your American student can also come to this small place which is called Aligarh,
That
and
would
a
be a great
great
interaction.
Yeah.
and a great academic institution which is called Aligarh Muslim University.
Yes.
And our relationship will definitely grow. Thank you very much.
Well, that would
Thanks a lot.
it would be mutually beneficial. I hope that
Yeah, mutually
relationship
beneficial. You're talking about.
can continue to grow and expand. And thank you very much. This was a pleasure. It was
Thank you so
it
much.
was
Thank you,
great to be here today. Thank you.